Last night you had a dream. You know you did. For a moment, right when the alarm went off, it was still there. A face, a place, a feeling you couldn't name. And then you reached for your phone, and it was gone. This happens to you almost every single night. Your brain builds an entire world while you sleep. Characters, plot lines, emotions strong enough to wake you up in a sweat. And then, within minutes, it deletes almost all of it. Not some of it, almost all of it. Why would your own mind do that? The answer isn't that dreams don't matter. The answer is far stranger. Your brain isn't failing to save your dreams. It's actively working to erase them. And understanding why reveals something unsettling about what your brain considers worth remembering in the first place. Start with what's actually happening while you dream. Most dreaming occurs during REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, a stage your brain cycles through 4 to 6 times a night. During REM, your brain is almost as active as when you're awake. Scans show the visual cortex lighting up. The emotional centers, especially the amygdala, surge with activity. But here's the strange part. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, planning, and forming coherent memories, goes quiet. That's not an accident. That's the design. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker, who has spent decades studying sleep at UC Berkeley, describes REM sleep as a state where your brain is emotionally turned up and logically turned down. You feel everything. You question nothing. That's why dream logic makes sense in the moment. A dead relative can hand you a fish and tell you it's your car keys, and you nod. Because the part of your brain that would normally say, "Wait, that's absurd," has been dimmed. But turning down logic isn't the same as erasing memory. So why did the dreams vanish? Here's where it gets interesting. Forming a memory that lasts requires a process called consolidation. Your brain has to take a fleeting experience and physically transfer it into long-term storage, mostly through a structure called the hippocampus. This transfer relies heavily on a neurochemical called norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is like a stamp that says, "Keep this one." During REM sleep, norepinephrine drops to some of the lowest levels it reaches all day, almost to zero. Without that stamp, the hippocampus has nothing to hold on to. The dream happened, your brain processed it in real time, but it was never given the chemical signal to file it away for later. It's less like a book being erased and more like a book that was never printed in the first place. Researcher J. Allen Hobson, one of the most influential dream scientists of the 20th century, proposed something even more direct. He argued the brain isn't just failing to remember dreams. It may be biologically incapable of doing so under normal conditions, because the exact chemical state required for memory formation is suppressed the entire time you're dreaming. So if your brain is built to forget dreams, why do you dream at all? What's the point of building an elaborate, emotional, sensory experience every night just to throw it away? This is where the story shifts from forgetting to function. A growing body of research suggests dreaming isn't a byproduct of sleep. It's a working session. Your brain uses REM sleep to process emotional experiences from the day, stripping the emotional charge from a memory while keeping the informational content. Studies led by Matthew Walker found that people who slept and dreamed after a distressing experience showed reduced activity in the amygdala when recalling that experience later, compared to those who didn't get that dream time. The dream, in a sense, took the sting out of the memory. You weren't meant to remember the dream. You were meant to be changed by it. There's another theory that goes even further back. Finnish cognitive neuroscientist Antti Revonsuo proposed what's called the threat simulation theory. He argued that dreaming evolved as a kind of rehearsal space. Ancient humans faced real, constant danger. Predators, rival groups, environmental threats. Revonsuo suggested the brain used dreams to simulate those dangers in a low-stakes environment, letting you practice fear, escape, and vigilance without any real-world consequence. Think about the last nightmare you remember. Being chased, falling, losing someone. These aren't random. They're some of the most common dream themes across cultures and history. If Revonsuo is right, your brain wasn't trying to entertain you while you slept. It was running drills. And if a dream is a drill, memorizing it defeats the purpose. A soldier doesn't need to remember every rehearsal in detail. They need the reflex the rehearsal built. The point was never the story. The point was the practice. This reframes the entire experience of dreaming. You've probably thought of forgetting your dreams as a glitch, a small daily failure of memory. But what if it's the opposite? What if forgetting is the feature that lets the system work at all? If you remembered every dream in full detail, you'd be carrying thousands of vivid, emotionally intense, false memories by the end of the year. Your brain would struggle to separate what actually happened to you from what your sleeping mind invented. Forgetting isn't a failure of the system. Forgetting protects the system. There's a reason you sometimes do remember a dream, though, and it's not random either. If you wake up directly out of REM sleep, before your brain transitions to another stage, you have a brief window where the dream is still accessible, still sitting in short-term memory before it would have been discarded. That's why dreams interrupted by an alarm feel so vivid. You didn't remember the dream because your brain decided to keep it. You remembered it because you caught it before the deletion happened. This is also why people who keep dream journals report remembering more dreams over time. They're not improving their memory of the dream itself. They're catching more dreams in that narrow window immediately after waking, before the natural forgetting process finishes its work. So every night, your brain builds a world, processes your fears, softens your emotional wounds, and rehearses survival, all without asking your permission and without leaving a record. It's one of the most sophisticated things your brain does, and it's designed deliberately to leave almost no trace. Tonight, when you close your eyes, your brain is going to do this again. It's going to build something vivid and strange and emotionally real. And by tomorrow afternoon, it will almost certainly be gone. But now you know the truth. It was never lost. It was used.